Greetings, Glitter Gang, and welcome back to Kathryn Scraps Live. My name is Kathryn, and this is Kathryn Scraps Live, a show where I craft things live on camera. It's 2 o'clock on October 19th, and today we are going to finish the December Daily Box Wallet album. We are so close to the finish line. We just need to like crawl across it with our tired little fingertips. We have all the wallets done. The box is constructed. We just have to decorate the box and then free. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to measure everything and figure out, like, you know, what box pieces and parts we need. Then we're going to go over to the computer. We're going to design them. Then we're going to come back over here and attach them, and that'll finish it, basically. So, all right. So, designer paper. Then after that, the other thing we need to do today is we have to and my brain just shut down, friends. It just shut down. It was like, ee! That's the noise it was making. Ee! We have to pick the fall and autumn paper. Or excuse me, autumn and Halloween paper. Fall and autumn are the same thing. So we have to pick the autumn and Halloween papers, one of each, for Hip to Be Square 3. So the final Hip to Be Square, the way we're going to settle the question of, do we have time to do Hip to Be Square 3 and a Halloween album before the end of the year? Maybe. We're going to combine them. Better shot of success by combining them. All right, so we're going to do an autumn Hip to Be Square. It's going to be predominantly autumn. There's going to be like a cooking, sort of Thanksgiving-ish, recipe-ish type page in there. And we'll go ahead, we'll do at least one Halloween-ish type page in there. So it'll be like 2/3 plain autumn and 1/3 holiday autumn. All right? Okay. All right, so for designer papers. So for the front here, so the front and back, I think this thing is 3x8 now, right? Yeah. Okay, it's 3x8 now. Whoa. All right. We can make the designer paper 3x8 if we want to. But it's probably better to do 7 7/8 by 2 7/8. And I'm going to go ahead and in Photoshop, when we get to the Photoshop portion, which will be on this recording will be predominantly Photoshop. And then the next video will be assembly. I'll explain how to calculate eighths, but just so you know, just generally, if you need to calculate an eighth, I know everybody pretty much knows that 0.25 is a quarter, but if you need to go down and do 1/8, then you subtract 0.125. So this becomes 0.125, or add 0.125 if you want to go up. So if you want to go up, then it becomes 3.375. Okay, and Photoshop will take 3 decimals. All right, so you can do eighths. So that's how you do eighths. Photoshop will take decimals, so you can do eighths in Photoshop. All right, but that's the rule of thumb, is if you need to make something an eighth in Photoshop, you just go to the nearest quarter and then either subtract or add 0.125, depending on whether. So like if you needed 1/8, you would subtract. If you needed 3/8, you would add. And that's how you do it. All right. Okay. Okay, so we need, for the front and back pieces, 7 7/8 by 2 7/8. And the side is also going to be 2 7/8, but the question is, what's the width? Oh, it's 13, right? So 12 and 7/8. So the sides are 12 and 7/8. Now 12 and 7/8, that is like right on the line of what I feel comfortable printing. I feel more comfortable if I'm printing 1/4 of an inch away from the edge. To have just a 6, that way I have 1/8 of an inch going all the way around, like, you know what I mean? I don't like to have less than 1/8 of an inch going all the way around, because my printer, specifically my printer, is not amazing at borderless printing, etc., getting everything just right. So we may have a little think about how to get around that, and then so we'll see. But I think what I may do is I may do one image that goes in the middle and then print separately side pieces. So that may be how we handle it. All right, and then the bottom, I'm just gonna do cardstock. Also, likewise, these side pieces will be cardstock, as well as the floor and the inside, front, and back. But these are going to be pattern paper. And so for these, we need a piece that's 8 by 8. So we're going to call these the dividers. And that is 8 by 8. And we just have to make sure it looks either just as good upside down as right side up, or we have to plan them in 2 different directions. So we have to make a 4 by 8 that goes up the front and a 4 by 8 that goes down the back. Does that make sense? So either it has to be omnidirectional, or we have to make it in 2 different designs that we splice together. Okay. And that's it. Okay. All right. So I think that's all of them. That's 8 by 8. We need 3 of these, 2 of these, 2 of these. All right. So there you go. Designer paper measurements there. And now we're going to get into Photoshop here to take a look. Of course, even though I knew I was doing Photoshop, I am not prepared. So, one second, I gotta just open up my documents. All right. So while I'm doing that, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week so far. Please consider liking this video and subscribing if you haven't already. Click the bell icon for notifications for when I will be back. I'm live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern USA time and 9 p.m. Eastern USA time. And in the video description, you will find links to a Facebook group, a classroom membership to see archives of all past shows, and good stuff like that. So, all right. Things are officially cooled off in our neck of the woods. So we are, dare I say, chilly now, possibly. This morning when I got up, I thought to myself, I can just stay, I just need to just stay in here. I said, I can't put my toes out there. I can just tell from how it feels on my face that I'm not going to like that. So, oops. Oops. And my sister is having to wear a Snuggie right now because unfortunately we still have to have the AC on in here because my corner is still with the lights so hot that it's not cool enough that we can just not have the heat on, you know what I mean? So unfortunately for her, it's snuggie time. But I think she'll get over it. She's pretty resilient. So welcome to everyone who's here. Welcome to Sandra and to Mary. Welcome to Fran. I hope you're doing well. Melanie, hello. Donna, good to see you. And Ella, hello as to you as well. So welcome, welcome, welcome everyone. I'm almost done. It takes a while to open and convert all this stuff. So I usually do it before the class starts, but didn't happen today. Did not. But that is partially because Marcel threw the Hometown Summer album off the top of the 6-foot bookshelf that it's on, and it exploded, and all its pieces flew out on the floor. What a little punk. What a little punk. I was like, Marcel, that's the best album. That's the best album we have. All right, here we go. Here we are on PC Desktop. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to let's make the fronts and the backs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my paper size 8 by 3, and then we'll figure out, do not constrain proportions, okay. 8 by 3, well, no, let's just do 7 point, okay, so remember I said earlier, you add 0.125 to whatever, so 7.75 would be 3/4. So if I want 7/8, I need to go up 0.125. So instead of 7.75, we get 7.8.7.5. Okay? All right, because it was 7.75 plus 0.125. So the 7 becomes an 8, the 5 becomes a 2, and then we add the 5 on the end. Or the 5 becomes a 7, and then we add the 5 on the end. All right. And then the same thing with this. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be 2.875. Okay. All right. So that's the size we need. So this is going to be, I'm going to zoom out 1 because that's off. There we go. So this is what we're designing on. So this is going to be, we're going to do the front first and the back. And I think what I want for the front and the back is I think I want them to, Romper Room never called your name? Oh no, childhood trauma. Childhood trauma unlocked. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to think about like what would be cute. And one thing that's kind of instantly coming to mind is I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this would be really cute. What we can do is we're going to have to just kind of figure out where we're going to have to make adjustments. First, I want to get rid of that little white stripe there. There's also one at the very tippy top here I got to get rid of. A little white stripe up there. All right. Okay. All right. So first what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to resize this to be width-wise. We need it to be, I'm just going to make it 8 because that'll be easier. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and make it 8. And then I can drag it down onto my little piece here. And I'm going to move it because I always struggle with this. Okay, so now that it's 8, I mean, I made it 8, so it'd be a scooch larger. A scooch larger. All right, so we've got that. Okay, So now what we need is we need to grab a little slice of snow to cover the bits, to cover the words. So just gonna grab a little slice of snow here. Okay. And so we'll go back over here and just, all right. I'm actually gonna, the main thing I want to make sure is covered is the bottom of it, because I think we're gonna get rid of the top just quickly now. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to say Control Z, get rid of my crop. And then I'm going to grab just the top and bring just the top over here. And then I can put this up here. And then this is what we've got. Okay. This is what we've got. All right. So now we have this, which is just, I think this is lovely. So what we want though is I want to have some kind of like Merry Christmas, da-da-da, you know, something that indicates this is a Christmas album. So one thing I did, and I haven't done this before, is I pulled out all of the little word stickers that they had, because I wanted to see, like, if there was one of them where if I isolated what it said, if it would really make me happy. But I actually don't think this joyful is okay. But I think what I may have to do is we'll just have to pick a font and go from there, which is unfortunate. I'm gonna just put you back on the craft desk for 1 second. I need to look something up on the interwebs. And I just want to, the reason I had to put you there, put you back on the desk is because otherwise you would, the dashboard would show you the camera over and over again. Okay. All right. So where we are now is we are on the My Fonts web. Oops, let me go back. I got to get you back. Okay. So where we are now is we're on the My Fonts website, myfonts.com. And myfonts.com has something they call What the Font, which is a font identifier. And if it can't tell you the exact font, it will at least show you similar ones. So if I go into digital paper and I go to Simple Stories, and I go to Mix and Mingle, which is where we are, and I go to the cardstock stickers and I grab just one of the stickers, I can upload it. Okay, and then it'll give me its guesses. And it'll also tell me what they sell these for on their website, because My Fonts is a paid website. Now, if it was important for me that it be exact, I would go ahead and I would buy one of the fonts. I think it probably is this one. I think they're probably correct that it's this Baticure. That looks Batikwar Cure back slanted free dupes. Okay. All right, so then it'll take me to a website that's going to give me some ideas for similar fonts that don't cost money. And as you can see, sometimes this happens, it's like, nah, there's nothing free like that. And that happens. That happens. So like I said, if it was really important to me that it match exactly, I would go ahead and I would then, at this point, seeing that there's not really an alternative, I would just go ahead and buy it. It's not that important to me in this case. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do something else instead. We're going to go through my fonts and I'm just going to find one that looks okay. Back in the PC. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take this Merry Christmas piece and I'm going to drop it onto something that has plenty of room. Okay, and we're gonna zoom, let's zoom in. Okay, then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just write Merry Christmas. Okay, and now I'm gonna make this huge so that we can see them at the same time. And then what we can do, right now I'm in Georgia Bold because I was working on something that needed to be highly legible, and that's a highly legible font. All right, so now all we have to do is I can now just go down to the left to the font and I can arrow down, and I will literally just quickly arrow down until I see something come up that gives me the same feeling or that I like just as much. Sometimes this can take a minute, you know, it's all about how persnickety you are / I am. A lot of times you get lucky with free fonts though. So there are often fonts that are very similar to what you want for free. It's not going. What happened? Oh, I think it started Times New Roman. That's the problem. This is one I use a lot. This is the Glitter Gang font. I don't think it's quite what I want. That doesn't mean that it won't work at all. It's just not quite what I want. I did buy a pack of modern calligraphy, modern script fonts a while back, and they're all in here somewhere. It's just a matter of, you know, ugh. All right, so this is Allura. I do like Allura a lot. I think it's a little more formal than what I want for this paper, but I can always go back to it. But I would probably rather have Allura over, or excuse me, Salmella over Allura. The other day I tried to use Comic Sans for something and I don't even have it installed on this computer. Do they? I was shocked that it wasn't included with whatever version of Photoshop this is. I thought that that was never gonna go away. I was so sad. Sometimes you just need Comic Sans. Does this look Halloween-y or frosty? Does it look like the letters got snowed on, or like the letters are going to go do a murder? What are your thoughts? This is it. Oh my gosh, it's called Christmas. That's literally the name of it. That's it. That's the one. Everyone voted for murder, so. All right, here we go. This font is called Christmas. It's just spelled without the H. So if you want it, it's CRISTMAS. So, all right. Perfect. Okay. All right, so now that I've got the font, we can go back over here. And we will go, let's grab this red. No, let's grab the green because the box itself is red. So we don't need to lean into the red. All right, so, oh gosh, what do we want to title it now? I mean, Merry Christmas is certainly an option. Oh, what fun. Okay, that's pretty good. The F is kind of lame, isn't it? I don't like the F in this font. It looks cut off. Yeah, that's no good. So, okay, so let's try to avoid Fs. One t-shirt I recently saw that I liked was Be a Cindy, Not a Grinch. I thought that was really cute. But that's awfully long, you know? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a capital F and we'll see. That's better. Okay, so what we're going to do is, oh, let it snow. There we go. Or there's always stuff if we want to call, we've got, if we want to bring 25 into it, 25 Days of Joys. That I do like. If we want to, like, really lean into the December daily aspect of it, let's do that. We haven't done anything with the 25. Okay, we're gonna do these as individual things. I'm gonna put each block of text in its own just want to do 25 Days of Joy. Okay. All right. The 25 needs to be bigger because in this font the numbers are smaller. So I just need to bump up. Oops. I need to bump that up. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to actually take these, the background pieces and merge them together so that they're just one layer so that they don't come apart from each other again like they just did. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these so that they look like they're going up and down the hill. All right. That's good. Alrighty. I think I like that. So we'll just leave it like that. I like how it looks like it's part of the tree line. All right. So we'll go ahead and say this is our first piece we're going to print. So we're going to go ahead and drag it on the print sheet. All right. Now, what we're going to do for this is I'm going to get rid of the words. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and add some more trees in just to beef up the tree line a little bit so that sometimes you have to really zoom in on stuff. All right, there we go. All right. Okay, so this tree, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to merge those two layers together so that this is now a single tree. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate that layer. And I'm going to flip it horizontally. And I want it to go behind that other tree. There we go. Okay. Now I just noticed over here that I cut off a tree top. So I'm going to have to cut off a different tree top and place it over here. So I just need just like a tree top. And I'm going to have to place it on the other one. So what I'm going to do is, I don't love doing this, but I am going to just chop the top off here like so. I'm going to fit it to the screen. I'm going to delete I need to delete just the stuff that's not tree. Okay, there we go. All right, so now that I have this tiny little tree top, okay, I need to drag it somewhere where I won't lose it. So I'm gonna drag it onto this because it's there's like less going on. And then I'm just gonna Control Z until I get back to where I was. All right, and then once I'm back to where I was, I can fit it back to the screen, and then I can go over here and get my little tiny tree top and drag it down, and then I can move my little tiny tree top over here. Okay, and then I can duplicate this layer. Well, I don't need to duplicate it actually. I just need to drag it onto the print sheet. And it's right here, so tiny. So we're gonna zoom in a little bit because I need to add it back over here because we are also missing a treetop over here. And then we'll just merge those layers so that they never come apart, so that when I move this, the treetop moves with it. Okay. All right, so now we've fixed our treetop situation. Go back and replace this tree. And then I'm going to merge all the layers that aren't font together so that I can, I'm going to flatten the image. I'm going to layer from the background, and then I'm going to flip this on the horizontal so that on the back, the house is just in a different direction, and then I'll drop it down there. So on the back, we'll have the house with 4 more trees, and on the front, we'll have 25 Days of Joy. Okay. All right, so there we go. So that's that. Okay, so that's the front and the back done. So I can go ahead and I can close both of these. And of course, we're going to say no, do not keep the changes where I chopped this up and did weird stuff. Okay, so now we're on to the sides. So it's just a matter of what do we want on the sides? What would look good? And if we're going to be doing things in pieces, like what that's going to look like. So, couple things. So one of the things that I'm thinking could be fun is if on the side we picked one of the papers that's not this one. I'm thinking I might just have 2 green things coming in from the sides. Yeah, this I like. The question is what to put on the side. What to put on the side. We do have these that we haven't really used much. To have like a string of those on the side over a pattern of paper could be nice. Which pattern of paper? I'm thinking something more solid. Maybe this. Not this one, but the holly one. Where is the holly one? Oh, it's right. This is the holly one. Okay. All right, so we know the sides ultimately need to end up somewhere around 13 inches. So the first thing we'll do is we'll just resize this to be the size that we need. So we need it to be 12.875. Okay. And then we're going to trim that to, I'm just going to make it 3 just for my sanity. We can trim it down later. All right. So this is the full size it needs to end up. And then this piece, here it is. This piece is the piece that I want to experiment with, you know, if it's just going all the way across, how do we feel about that? So I'm going to go ahead and drag this onto here. And of course, we're gonna have to do a few things. First thing I'm gonna do is make it bigger. All right, and we're gonna drop a shadow on it to help it have a little more oomph. All right, then we're gonna go ahead and duplicate it a couple times. I flipped it horizontal to see. Okay. I think I'm gonna put one on a slightly different angle. Actually, there we go, right there. And then this one, I'm gonna flip it back the way it was and just layer it like so. This one needs to go off the side, I think, so they all are going off the side. So there we have that. Oh, you want to flip it vertically? Oh yeah, there we go. That's better. Actually, let's... There we go. So there is our side piece. So now we have a choice. We have a couple choices to make. Okay, so choice number one is that sufficient? Are we happy with that? Like, ready to go as is? Do we want to add end caps so we can print this in like two pieces and maybe one end cap is separate? If I was gonna add end caps, what would I add? Oh, I just had a funny idea. What if the end caps were birds? Just like coming in from the side. Instead of a half circle, you know? What are we thinking? This might be our best bird usage ever. So then we would just duplicate this bird. And then we would flip it horizontally and have it be like so. Okay, I kind of love it. What's something we could say? Hi, buddy. Hi. Oh, yeah. It's hard to be Marcel today. It is. It is. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to be Marcel today, everyone. He just wants you to know it. He just wants you to know it. Okay, so we need a holiday greeting that's also a bird pun. Put your thinking caps on, friendos. Put your thinking caps on. Hi. Oh, you're so cute. You're so cute. Tweet wishes. Christmas tweets. Christmas quacker, but that's like a duck specific noise. Oh, visions of sugar plums. Seasons tweetings. He did. He just decreased the transparency on that. It probably doesn't need to say anything, but it's a little too busy, I think, because of how variegated these guys are. So let's just go ahead and leave it with just the birds. I think that's actually kind of funnier anyway, especially if you know me. So what we're gonna do now is to get it, I'm gonna unconstrain the proportions, and I'm gonna tell it I want it to be 12,875 by 2,875, and that is gonna like squish it a little bit, but I think because it's such a small amount, it won't even be noticeable, which it is in fact not noticeable. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it in two pieces. So from one side, I'm gonna cut 3 inches, and I'm gonna drag this over to the screen printer, the print page. And then I'm going to duplicate it because we have 2 sides to this box. So we need 2 of them. Okay. Then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say Control Z, and I'm going to take all of it except for 2 inches so that there's an inch overlap between the 2 designs. And that'll just make it easier for me to line everything up later. So then this comes over and we're going to duplicate it as well. All right, and that's the outside of the box done and ready to go. So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna go ahead and print this sheet, and I'm gonna print it on heavy cardstock. And the reason I'm gonna print it on heavy cardstock is because I want it to not show all the different layers of construction through. I want it to be like fairly rigid. So we're going to go ahead and print just this. And this is all the sides of the box. So then the only thing we have to do is design our dividers, and then we are good to go. So we're making good progress. And then while we're waiting for everything to print and dry, we're gonna finish the lining with the red cardstock. And get that all done. And we're gonna do a lot of like eyeballing for that. So All right. Okay, so that's printing. So let me just go put some paper in there, get that to print, and then we'll work on the 8x8s. And then just okay, so that's going. So let's now go ahead and save this. And like I said, I'm putting everything in the folder, the Mix and Mingle folder, in this 13 by 19. And like I said, I always just go to the bottom, see what the biggest number is, and then just do one more than that, so I can eventually find them all later. All right, and then we can, now we're gonna take this and we're gonna make an 8x8, and this one is genuinely 8x8, okay? Genuinely, so it's not like 7 7/8 by whatever. It's 8x8. And then this is going to be the divider. So what I do, Judy, is even though I'm printing on cardstock weight paper, it's still a matte presentation paper. So I just tell it matte presentation paper is still what it is, even though it's thicker. And then sometimes it doesn't want to pick it up out of the feeder because of how thick it is. So what I do is I just push it to help it kind of grab it. So like I put a little bit of pressure on it as it's grabbing it, so that I'm kind of pushing it into the gears. And that seems to be enough that it works. So Judy's saying her printer doesn't have a setting for the kind of cardstock I'm using, but because the kind of cardstock I'm using still has a presentation paper coating on it, I just can use the presentation paper. Now hers, if you don't have presentation paper, I would use photo paper. I would say if you have a matte photo paper, just use that. Just use that. Okay, so these are going to go in the ridges. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm just going to take this red from the collection and I'm going to make a stripe down the center of this. So, and when I say down the center, I genuinely mean like down the center. Okay. And that's where I will be able to, and I just want to see how 15 pixels, yeah, that's probably fine. I just want a little bit of a sliver so I know exactly where to score them to wrap them over the top. So I always want my score to be on that red line. So that's just, that way when we go to look at it, the top of each of them will be a red line, like when you're looking down in the box, instead of half pattern 1, half pattern 2. So, okay, so now pattern 1. So this is the front of them. And I'm thinking maybe we just do these guys, but we do them on the front and the back and we still keep that line because the peppermints will be cute inside. However, we can also do what am I trying to say? We can also do multiple patterns. We don't have to do all the same. All right, so here is step number 1. So step number 1 is I'm going to put it like that. I'm going to put it under that shape. And then what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this whole thing 180 degrees. So now those candy canes are upside down. So now I'm going to drag this back over and drop it. And now the candy canes, when they get folded over, will be facing this correct direction. Although this is fairly omni, it does have a top and a bottom, and it does have a grid pattern on it, which is why I took the time to twist it. All right, so we can do this for all 3 of them and print it just like so. Or we can do each one a different pattern. But I do kind of like the pink. So, ooh, should we do the poinsettias instead? What are your thoughts? Candy canes or poinsettias? I'm going to just I'll make one that's a poinsettia also. So we can just look at them both. Someone messaging me? I thought I saw a pop-up. Now it's going to be more obvious on the poinsettia why we need to flip it over. Which is because they do face 2 different directions. Okay. So now we just need to add the line. And I'm going to make it a little thicker. I'm going to make it 25 pixels this time. All right. Okay. All right, poinsettias it is. Okay. All right, so poinsettias, and we need 3 of these. We're going to be able to get 2 per sheet. All right, we did it. Okay, let's switch back to the craft desk. Let me get these printing. And we'll finish off this box. And like I said, while these are printing, we can get the rest of the cardstock done. So. Okay. So. Sorry, I'm having a little trouble printing. Okay. All right, I think I fixed it. Always fun times. Always fun times. Alrighty. Almost done. Getting it set up for printing. Okay, everything should be printing now. All right. So here's the cardstock that I'm using. It's a double-sided presentation cardstock, but it is 65 pounds instead of, normally I use like something in the 30s. It's more of like a paper weight. This is just thicker. You can kind of hear it's a lot stronger. It's not as thin. Look how the birds turned out. Aren't they cute? Okay. All right, so number one is printing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get to work on the red cardstock. So we can go ahead and cut 2 7/8 inch strips of the red cardstock. And we can get 4 of those 2 7/8 strips out of it. And we're going to do the same thing we did before, where we're just going to make marks where it needs to be cut. So I'm just going to, you know, hold it like this to where it's touching over here. And then I can say, actually, I should do that after these are wrapped, only because depending on, you know, if this gets pushed more forward or more back, that may change some things. So let's go ahead and, instead of doing the cardstock, let's go ahead and go cut out the first sheet and start adhering that. So let me just cut that really quickly. So Marcel, was it yesterday or the day before? This week, Marcel got stuck in a drawer. And so, because I felt bad for him that day, anytime he asked for his special treats, I gave them to him. And unfortunately, I created a monster. So now Marcel's just mad that he can't have unlimited treats today. So that's his tough day he's having, where he thought he'd entered a new era of unlimited treats, but instead I'm back to being the treat meanie. The treat meanie. All right, so there's the back. Here's one of the sides. So, all right, here's the front and the other bird. All right, so first things first, we're gonna attach the birds. So what we do is just get it lined up perfectly, okay? And once you've got it lined up so that it's perfect, lines up, you know, matches perfectly exactly, you can go ahead, take a piece of this and then stick it on your clothes, because even though this is art tape and it's canvas tape, I find it can occasionally do a number on the ink, especially if you just printed it. And then you can flip it over to the back and put a good amount of tape there on the back to where they join up. And then on the front, you peel them apart, and then go ahead, take your ruler and line it up with the seam. And it may be easier to line the seam up with a line on your desk and then line your ruler up with that line on your desk. And then cut through. Okay. Then you can peel this off the back. You don't need it because now they just join together like so. So now you have something larger than 12 inches, which is what you needed in the first place. So just go ahead and stick them together. All right. So that's one done. All right. But you can't see that it ever happened. So we're going to go ahead and ink the edges. I'm using the Forest Moss that I used throughout the album. You could use a red that matches the cardinal red, which the one I would use is probably Barn Door, because this particular red has a little bit of orange in it, and Barn Door is a little more orange than Festive Berries, but whichever you have, I'm sure will work great. And then once it's inked, we're going to go ahead and just tape it. And I'm going to do a pretty generous amount of tape because this is on the outside of a box. So it will be handled more than some other things might be. Hello. Hi. Hi. How's it going, little guy? Yeah. Marcel, what's this? Ooh. Whoop. right, so this is now ready to stick in the book. Okay, piece number 1. Just going to set that to the side, and then we just do those steps again. So step 1 is figure out exactly how this lines up with the first one. Okay. Get your masking tape for masking off canvases, like an art masking tape. Oops, sometimes when you touch it again, you squiggle it. All right, there we go. Okay. Then flip it over and tape it. Then remove the tape from the front very gently and carefully. I know I said at the start of this video this was going to be all Photoshop, and then I just jumped right into this. So this is just going to be a long video where we finish the box. Okay. And then we'll do a recording break, and we'll do the final overview. All right. And now we're going to slicey dicey this one. All right. And then we peel the back off. And then we stick them together. Okay. Flip it back over. Ink the edges, etc., etc., etc. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we tape the rest of them and then stick them all to the sides of the box. that down. So let's see, we got our wardrobes done and, well, built, anchored to the wall, all that, you know. And now we're just working out exactly how we want to organize them. Still, but progress has been made. For example, I thought I wanted one of the wardrobes to be like my everyday wearing around the house clothes, like if I'm not leaving the house clothes. But then I was like, you know, no. So I decided that it's actually going to be my nicer leaving the house clothes that is in the wardrobes. So one wardrobe is going to have like long dresses and the other one is going to have like nice tops and nice pants and things like that. And then the closet is actually going to be the everyday hanging around the house clothes. And they're just going to hang over the dresser that's now in the closet. And then for the sides, we don't need, we were going to, like the original plan was we were going to use the sides as linen closet, but then we don't need that much space for linen closet. So we're going to get some baskets. We started collecting them as we see baskets that are the right size to like hold things, and the goal is to have like specialty things in the baskets that, so when you're like, I need a blank, you like makeup, or like I'm going to do my going out makeup or things like that, like just storage so that there's nothing on countertops basically. All right, so these are ready to go on the box, so let's grab the box. All right, and we also got these, we found these wire mesh baskets that are huge. They're meant to go under your bed, but they've, ow, oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Ooh. There is genuinely no stupider design in the human body than the main nerve that operates the hand being on the outside of the elbow bone. So it's just like flapping in the breeze to get whacked on whatever. Why isn't it in the crook of your arm? You know, questions that need answers. Questions that need answers. Yeah, he actually has a ton of space in them, but he doesn't need to hang anything up in them because he has his own closet. Because there's 4 bedrooms, you know, and one bedroom Liz and Damien sleep in, and one bedroom we sleep in, and then one bedroom is their hangout space and one bedroom is his office. And so Damien has the closet of the hangout space, so he has his own closet because those are all bedrooms and their closets are all the same size. So he has, okay, look how sharp that looks. So he has the hangout space closet as his closet, and Mr. Lifeguard has his office closet as his closet. So everyone has their own closet, which is nice because the closets are not large, because this house is from the 70s before they started doing really big closets as a normal thing. So all right. And when I burnish against my hand so that this doesn't, you know, pull the cardboard or chipboard out of whack. All right, so now we're going to do the long sides. So yeah, he has wardrobe space. Like he's making a whole, he's going to have a whole area for all his running gear, because we don't need, right now the problem is there will be empty space either in the wardrobes or in the closets or both, because we just don't have enough stuff for the amount of wardrobe we got. So, which is fine. I'd rather that's the situation. All right. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right, so okay. All right, so this one I don't need to press against my hand because these brace it. If you're wondering why I pressed against my hand on the front and the back but not this, it's because these brace the one on the side, so I don't have to be as concerned. All right, so now we're looking good. So two things we need to do. One thing is I need to cut a piece of cardstock to be 7 7/8 wide. Okay, so we're going to put this on the bottom just to give the bottom a solid, and then I need to cut a little bit to fill it in. So I'm going to cut a piece of cardstock to be 7 7/8, and that piece of cardstock is going to be 4 inches by 7 7/8. Okay, and then this piece will go here to fill in the difference. I'm just going to make a little note of about where it needs to be cut with a pencil and just cut it there. And I'll tell you what it is. It's 9, of course, because the box is 13. So 8 7/8 basically. Yeah. All right. Okay. So we got those two pieces. And that's gonna smooth out the bottom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape these together just so I can handle them and line them up as one piece. I think that'll just be a little bit easier for me. All right. And then we'll put the tape around the edges. All right, then we're gonna add right, and then on this crack, I'm going to put tape all the way across because we want both sides of that crack to be well stuck down, and then we'll add tape to kind of fill in these larger areas. It doesn't have to be totally filled in like I would with a book cover, but I want, you know, a little bit of extra security. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and burnish this. All right. All right. Okay. Placing it down. All right, so now the bottom is as smooth as we can get it. So the whole outside is now complete. If you want to put pattern paper on the bottom, you can. It's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna show unless someone empties the box, picks it up, and turns it upside down. So like, I wouldn't waste pattern paper doing that, but you know, it's up to you. It's up to you. All right, so here's piece number one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna line our red stripe up with the 6. All right, you can line it up with whatever you want. I use the 6 because I have labeled the 6. So it's easy to see because I've drawn this line. And right down the center of that line, go ahead and make your score. All right. Okay, so what's going to happen is this is going to go down like so, and it's going to go all the way down like this, and then we're going to put little scores on the bottom so that it can of course I can't get it back out. Oh, I see what's happening. All right, so we're going to flip it over to the other side. All right, and we're going to score at 7 inches. And then turn it all the way around and score it at 7 inches again. All right, and then we're gonna just do that and just do this. All right, so now this is how they're going in. Yep. So this, okay, and then this will get stuck down to the bottom on both sides, and that will hold it, brace it from the front and the back. All right, so when we put our tape on this, we need to be kind of like aware of all the different places where things are going to get stuck down. So we are going to want on this flap tape along the score line and the edge, and same with this flap. Okay, so all right. And then we want to make a box of tape for this that's, you know, inside this score line and inside this score line. All right. Glue might be easier. Certainly it would be stronger. So if you have the patience to, you know, glue one flap at a time is what I would do if I was using glue. So I would only put glue like where I have this square, and then I would, once that was stuck down, then I would glue down this flap. Then I would put glue in this square. Once that was stuck down, then I would glue down this flap. That's the order I would do it in. Square flap, square flap. And then, yeah. You'd probably be in good shape. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to peel all the tape from one side of the center score. We're just going to do one side at a time. Okay, so I'm going to take this score and line it up there. And when I feel it touch the bottom, then I'm actually going to pull this part up, okay? Pull this part up. So then I'm going to go straight down from the top to burnish. All right. Now I'm going to pull this towards the back, and I'm going to just score this top bit to get it nice and flat. And I'm going to peel off the remaining tape. And then from this one, I do it a little bit differently because I'm going to come roll over from the top to get it started going down. And then just finish. All right. Okay. All right, so that's how that goes. So then we can come back with these pieces that are 2 7/8, okay? And again, I'm just gonna do what I did before. So I'm lining it up with the inside there, and then I'm gonna make a tick mark with my pencil on the inside here. And then that will slide right in there. And see how that's going to cover the flaps. It's going to cover, you know, all the joints. It just cleans up that corner. That's what we want. All right. And after you've glued it or taped it, you may need to like double check which direction. You know, because it makes a rectangle, but it's a rectangle that looks like a square. It's kind of hard to tell which side should go up and which side should go down. I'm just going to put a piece across the middle like so. Did I make all this today? No, Donna. There's a playlist. This is the 2023 December Daily. My Christmas project, my Christmas in July project. So there's a playlist with the whole thing. All right, so once you've got that in, then turn it on its side so that you can really burnish it well. Or did I say no, Judy? I meant no, Donna. This is the, it's also in the archives as the December Daily as well. So then that's how that's going to get cleaned up. So now we have to do this other side. And it's the same. We just mark inside to inside. I made my pencil line so light I can't see it, so I'm going to have to draw it again. What the heck? All right. See, so that one I didn't cut it narrow enough, so I just need to give it a little shaverino. Before you put tape, it's good to make sure it's going to slide in. Oh, gosh. All right. I'm just going to say which side goes up before I tape. Yeah, we have a stack of wallets to go in here, Donna, so this it's almost done, this project. Today's going to be the last day. I thought this class would be the last class, but as you can see from the time, I don't think it's going to be the case. So we are going to probably have to finish it up tonight. Last week I went over by at least an hour both classes. I did 3 classes basically instead of 2 last week. So trying to get it done. But it's getting done today. Today is your last day, friend. Yeah, so if you go on YouTube, like my actual YouTube channel, there's a playlist that has all the videos from this series. You can see the wallets, the decorating, making the digital paper, all of it. And also, if you have access to archives, there's a folder with all the videos. There's like 30 some videos now of this project. So, all right. In we go. All right, so now that side's done. So now the remaining 2 just go here and here. Now, all right, so this one, I'm gonna just slide that in, and that's gonna fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick it down. And one thing I'm gonna do here is sometimes these are not perfectly straight. You can ensure that they're perfectly straight by, you know, measuring the distance. I just eyeballed it. You can measure the distance instead. So, you know, you can make a pencil line on each side in the exact same position on each side. So, yeah, we did a lot. If you're not designing and printing your own paper, you know, it's not a 30-hour project. It's more like a 15-hour project. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting this little piece of red cardstock right there because like a sliver of this pink was going to show. I don't think it even showed on camera, but yeah, see how if I hadn't put that red there, it would have been like a lot more. Now it looks like this. So that's a lot better. All right, so let's pull this out. And because this one's going on the bottom, I can just use ATG. If you're wondering why, whenever I use the ATG, I have to open 2 drawers, it's because I no longer keep the ATG in the drawer labeled ATG. And unfortunately, I have not relabeled. So yeah, if you're going to just use any paper that you already have in your stash, that will save you a lot of time. Okay. All right. So now we just want one piece to go on the front here. Okay. And that's a little too long. You know, you have to dry fit test them because boxes are never perfect. Yep. All right. Now this one I do want to use tape again because it's not, it's on a side, so the wallets are going to brush past it and things of that nature. So I'm going to just go ahead and use tape. All right. At least we'll have one section totally done so we can see how it looks when it's all lined. And we'll throw a wallet in there too. And then we'll come back tonight. We'll finish it. We'll pick our paper. I want to look at Simple Stories. I want to look at Snap Click Supply to see what they've got. But yeah, we're looking for like an autumn one. Maybe the reason I want to start on Snap Click Supply because I'm hoping we can get one that's like a recipe one. A Halloween one and a generic fall one. And I think we'll have the best luck over there finding 3 that go together. But, you know, if not them, then we'll try Simple Stories next. But, like, what is this? Alright. Just took a red Sharpie to cover a little corner of pink that was showing. Alright, so here's what it looks like. It's just a nice little red cubby. And then our wallets, okay, our wallets go in like so. And then you can just pull your wallet out. Pull your flap. Of course, you've got your pocket here. You've got your pocket here with your photo mats. You've got all these over here. If you want to customize this exactly like this, you totally can. Because I did use a digital paper. So even if you're watching this, as long as Simple Stories is still selling digital paper, you should be able to get the digital collection and do it. But if you don't want to do that, you know, just use pattern paper that you like, that you have in your stash, that you were saving for Christmas. Or whatever you want to do this for. Remember that this doesn't have to be a Christmas album or a holiday album of any kind because it's just a box with wallets in it. I've mentioned before for school years that might be fun to put like the highlights of each year of school for someone in here. That would be a really cute thing to do. Babies as well. If you know, each month, a month's worth of memories, that kind of stuff. So yeah, that kind of thing. So anyway, when we come back tonight, I'm gonna pause here. When we come back tonight, we'll finish the box. We'll do a final flip through, go over everything in detail again, talk about the paper and everything that was used, go over all the different supplies that you want to have, that kind of thing. We'll do that in the final review. And then whatever's left of class tonight, we'll be picking the papers and doing a little bit of planning for the fall album, which is going to be in Hip to Be Square format, and it will be Hip to Be Square number 3, so it'll be the 10 by 10 version of Hip to Be Square. So all of that still to come today. So I'll be back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern USA time, which is roughly 5 hours from now. So whatever time it is where you are now, just add 5 hours. That's when I'll be back. We will continue to line the inside of this box. When we're done with that, we'll get our wallets arranged exactly how we like them and want them, and then we'll do a final review video, and then we'll be done with the holidays and on to other holidays. We'll be done with Christmas and then on to Halloween, Thanksgiving, autumn, general type stuff. All right. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. If you're interested in making one of these for yourself, just check out the folder in the archives for the 2023 December Daily project, or check the playlist on YouTube. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great afternoon, a great weekend, a great evening, and stay hydrated. I'll see you soon. Bye now.